Thinking that all high-end digital to analog converters sound exactly the same just because they process digital ones and zeros is a fundamental misunderstanding of digital audio. As an engineer, I can tell you that the physical architecture of a DAC, whether it uses a mass-produced microchip or a discrete array of physical resistors, completely changes the emotional presentation of your music. And when you look at a brand like Bricasti, who builds world-class DACs with entirely different internal architectures, this becomes incredibly obvious. If you spend thousands of dollars on a flagship DAC without matching its internal conversion technology to your specific musical taste, you will likely end up with an analytical, fatiguing sound when what you really want is a warm, analog, realistic presentation. Today we are going to fix that by breaking down Bricasti's lineup based on the 4 types of listeners. We will look at specifically a high-energy M1 Series 2, the analog purist M11, the minimalist M12 source controller, and the uncompromising M21 flagship, so you know exactly which technology belongs in your system. Let's get right into it. When most people start looking at high-end DACs, they immediately get overwhelmed by spec sheets, sample rates, and engineering jargon. But the truth is, the only thing that actually matters is how the physical engineering inside that metal box translates to the music hitting your ears. Bricasti is a fascinating company because instead of just building one type of DAC and forcing you to accept their specific house sound, they have engineered entirely different conversion technologies to suit different types of listeners. To figure out which Bricasti DAC is the right for your signal chain, you have to ask yourself one question. What kind of listener am I? Let's start with the first listener profile, the high-energy listener. If your record collection is filled with driving rock and roll, heavy electronica, or modern pop, you want a system that hits hard. You want punchy dynamics, energetic transients, and bass that is incredibly tight and controlled. If that describes you, you should be looking at the Bricasti M1 Series 2. At around $12,500, the M1 Series 2 utilizes a Delta Sigma architecture. In simple terms, this means the conversion is handled by a highly advanced microchip, specifically the Analog Devices ADI 1955. Chip-based DACs are famous in the audio world for their analog precision. They are incredibly fast, and they have an undeniable grip on the low-end frequencies. When you listen to a kick drum or a snare drum through the M1, it hits with a visceral, well-defined impact that is completely free of any artificial muddy bloom. But here is where Bricasti's engineering brilliance comes in. A lot of mass-produced chip DACs can sound harsh, glaring, or fatiguing over long listening sessions. We call this electronic tension. Bricasti has managed to implement this chip in a true dual mono architecture, meaning the left and right audio channels have completely separate power supplies. This extreme isolation strips away that digital tension. Reviewers constantly note that the M1 sounds remarkably analog for a chip-based DAC. Vocals are centered and effortless, floating naturally a step in front of the speakers. On top of that, the M1 Series 2 is highly customizable. It features an 8-setting filter system built directly into the software. If a track sounds a little too analytical, you can simply change the filter to add a rich, warm layer to complex mixes. Or you can open it up for a maximum straightforward resolution. It is the perfect DAC for the listener who wants thrilling dynamics but refuses to sacrifice a smooth musical soul. Now, what if you don't listen to heavy rock and electronica? What if your collection is built around acoustical jazz, classical symphonies, and intimate vocal performances? You aren't looking for punchy aggression, you are looking for natural realism, fluid timing, and a massive 3-dimensional soundstage. You are an analog purist, and your perfect match is the Bricasti M11 Series 2. Also priced at $12,500, the M11 throws out the microchip entirely. Instead, it uses what is called a discrete R2R ladder DAC. Imagine a physical ladder made up of dozens of microscopic, highly precise resistors. The digital signal climbs this physical ladder, and the resistors manually convert the digital data into an analog voltage. Building a discrete ladder DAC is incredibly difficult and expensive, but the sonic reward is massive. Ladder DACs prioritize musical timing over everything else. In the real world, when a pianist strikes a key or a drummer hits a cymbal, the sound has a very specific natural attack and a long, beautiful decay, as the sound waves bounce around the room. The M11 captures the natural decay and venue reverb better than almost any chip-based DAC on the market. It provides a sound that is subtle, articulate, and deeply engaging. It captures the distinct roundness of individual notes, giving acoustic instruments a physical weight and a presence in your room. If you want your digital files to sound as close to a high-end turntable as physically possible, the R2R ladder DAC inside the M11 is exactly what you need. Our third listener is the system architect. This is the minimalist, the person who wants the absolute cleanest, purest signal path possible without stacking 5 different components in their audio rack. If you want a device that can act as the brains of your entire system, you need the Bricasti M12 source controller. At $16,500, the M12 isn't just a DAC, it's a full preamplifier replacement. Normally, if you plug a DAC directly into a power amplifier and use the DAC's digital volume control, you actually lose audio resolution as you turn the volume down. The music gets quieter, but it also gets thinner and less detailed. The M12 solves this by using a fully analog resistor ladder purely for the volume control. The volume is adjusted in the analog domain, meaning you can turn it down to a whisper quiet and keep 100% of your musical resolution. Because of this analog architecture, the M12 also includes traditional analog inputs on the back. You can plug in your turntable's phonostage or your tape deck directly into the M12. Yes, people still own tape decks. And you're completely eliminating the need for a separate preamplifier. By removing that extra box and those extra cables, you eliminate the danger of double preamping and keeping your signal path remarkably pure. The M12 also has a secret weapon for high-resolution audio fans, a native 1-bit DSD converter. DSD is an ultra-high resolution format used on super audio CDs. The problem is most DACs on the market cannot change the volume of a DSD file without first converting it to a lower quality format. This ruins the purity of the file. The M12 uses a proprietary high-speed analog switch to convert the DSD stream directly into analog waveform, completely bypassing any digital manipulation. It is the absolute purest approach to high-resolution playback, delivering laser-focused resolution and tonal honesty. And finally, we arrive at the fourth listener, the uncompromising audiophile. This is the person who refuses to choose. They want the punchy dynamics of a chip DAC for their rock album, but they want the natural 3D decay of a ladder DAC for their jazz albums, and the pure transparency of native DSD for their high-res files. For this listener, there is only one option, the flagship Bricasti M21. At $16,500, the M21 is the ultimate digital Swiss Army knife. It literally houses all 3 technologies we just talked about under one hood. It has the Delta Sigma chip pathway, it has the discrete 20-bit R2R ladder pathway, and it has a direct native DSD pathway. You can seamlessly switch between these entire physical architectures using the menu on the front panel. You're essentially getting 3 world-class, distinctly sounding different DACs inside one beautifully machined aluminum chassis. It offers a sense of sheer spaciousness and organic realism that is simply breathtaking. If you want absolute, uncompromising control over exactly how your digital library sounds, the M21 is the peak of the mountain. Granted, I have used generalizations based on my listening characteristics to try and give you a better idea of each one of these DAC sounds. But the truth is, any of these DACs sound fantastic with all genres of music. And which one you choose should be based on your sound perception. We all hear differently, and there is no right or wrong. Upgrading your DAC isn't just about reading a spec sheet, it's about matching the physical engineering of the conversion process to the soul of your favorite music. If you want to see exactly how much obsessive engineering goes into these units, you have to see where they were made. We took our cameras inside the Bricasti headquarters in Massachusetts for an exclusive behind-the-scenes factory tour to show you how these DACs are built from the ground up. Click here, and we'll see you there.